guys, it's Lindsay. I'm back with another video and I am today making some waxed paper. This is a new technique to me. I showed you in my previous video, the flip through, a little waxed piece that I've got in my junk journal. So I'm here to show you how I created that waxed paper. I'm starting off by stamping. This is just a regular A5 sheet of copy paper that I've had forever. It's not anything spectacular, it's just regular sort of print paper, and I'm stamping the image on both sides just for decorative measure. You can do whatever you want on it, leave it plain, whatever. So all I've done here, I'll just explain it. I've got some tracing paper. You're probably better off with some greaseproof paper, but I've got tracing paper because that's what I have to hand, and I've sandwiched the white piece of paper that I've stamped onto with the wax on top of it between two sheets, and the two sheets, the tracing paper on top, is just going to protect the paper and the wax from getting burnt while you're melting it. So here I am melting the wax, and you can see it spreading out throughout the paper, and I'm just using my ruler just to really kind of press that and move it about so it covers that entire piece. And I had to add some more wax. I have used a scented candle, so the paper really does have such a nice smell to it. Of course you can use whatever scented candle you have, whatever your preference is. I've just got one knocking about, which is a real sort of like eucalyptus-y, natural smelling candle. So it's just right up my street. It smells lovely. So I'm just manipulating the wax to make sure that it covers the entire piece of paper. I'll turn the paper over, do the other side, and make sure that it's well and truly covered. So I've got this other sheet of A5 paper that I've just popped underneath, and I'm going to heat the top of this page without anything to cover it, just to enable me to blot off any excess wax, and this gives it a really nice smooth finish, and it takes that sort of like waxy texture away from it without sounding ridiculous, because obviously it's got a waxy texture, but it adds a real sort of drier, smoother finish if you heat it up once. This is what I found from doing it today anyway. When I heated it up and just blotted it off, it gave a really nice smoother finish overall. So I'm just taking a bit of muck or something, must have just been on the kitchen side, because I had a scratch on it. I just heated it back up, re-blotted it, and it's like it was never there. So I'm just showing you with the ruler behind that it's now transparent, and I'm deciding here exactly how I'm going to use it. So with the white page underneath, you could add paper onto the back of it and use it. I mean, you can make this into a card, a greetings card, put a nice sentiment on the front there, and that'd be a really nice card for somebody. So I'm just going to show you a few pieces that I've made with the waxed papers to give you an idea of what you could do with them. I mean, I've got so many more ideas to do with these, but I mean, I've only just made some today, so this is my first little play with this technique, and I have to say I think it'll be one of those techniques that sticks around, especially because of the smell and the real nice fragrance that it gives to a journal. So I'm just cutting this piece down, and I'm going to use this as like a little journaling spot inside this piece. So I'm just going to leave that right hand side there as a space to write. And I'm just eyeballing, I mean there's no measurements going on here, I'm just eyeballing it to fit in there just nicely. So I have this little bottle with some Ranger multi-matte medium inside it. I was actually waiting on an Amazon delivery of the Yoo-hoo glue stick that I normally use, because I'm literally out of it. I mean, I'd scraped the little the last little bit out with a knife yesterday. So I'd ordered some more yesterday night and it has now arrived, so I can actually get on making my second journal, which I'm really excited to do. So I use this multi-matte medium, which is probably the best glue for this anyway, and I'm just sticking that down inside. And I'm going to use that just off to the right of the screen there. You can see that sort of lace edger, and I'm going to use that on the top piece there, just on the right hand side, just to give it a little bit of detail. When I come to use this in my journal, because I have put this one in my journal, I will probably decorate the front somehow, maybe add some flowers to it. Some dried flowers would look really nice on this. Sorry about the shaking of the camera there. I did notice it and I tried to be a little bit more gentle as I was going down. Not easy because the camera stand is actually attached to the table. So yeah, I think that either some actual pressed flowers would look here, some wildflowers, maybe like some bluebells, or well, I don't think it's supposed to pick bluebells, so I'm thinking maybe of doing getting some digitals and printing. I've got some clear sticker paper. It is shiny, but I think it'd still work, so I could print the digitals, fussy cut them out, and stick them on, or even just print them onto some vellum. Maybe that would look nice, and that sort of frosty background might then blend in with the wax paper. I'm not sure. Again, once the kids have gone to bed and I can have a proper play, I'll let you know how that goes. So this next one is one of those pieces with that stamp design, and I'm just cutting down a piece of tea dye paper to fit on the back side of that, and I can then use it as a journaling card. And I've cut it slightly smaller, so there is some overhang because I like the fact that the paper's transparent, so it still shows you that it's wax paper and that it's clear. And I'm going to add some colour to the design as well. So I'm colouring in the image, I'm colouring straight onto the wax paper, and I'm using some Tombow Mono pens to do this. They were literally just at hand. I had no idea how these were going to turn out, but they've turned out really well. You can see here the colour's going on nice, it's going on quite opaque, and I was actually able to layer up the colour to add some sort of shaded areas to give a bit of dimension to the flowers. And I noticed this as I was colouring it, so I'm really happy actually with how this has turned out. I think it's done really well, and I think this would actually look nice if it was sort of like monotone. So if you did like different shades of blue for it, or different shades of grey or something, to give it a bit more of a sort of vintagey vibe. I will have a bit more of a play around with some wax paper later when the kids are in bed and I can have some more time sitting down and playing. And I like the idea as well of writing straight onto the wax paper. So instead of having like a piece of cardstock or some tea dye paper on the back of it to write on, it would actually look really nice just written straight onto. So like a sentiment or a quote or a little bit of journaling. Maybe an image, you could perhaps staple an image to the back of it, sort of peeking through, and then right over the top, so you would then flip up the wax paper to reveal the image that you've journaled about on the front. Does that make sense? I think that would be a really nice idea to do with this. And I also think these would make lovely greetings cards. I'm not sure if I said that already actually. I think I have said that in this video already. The nice sentiment on the front. So yeah, there's loads of possibilities I think for this, and the fact that it smells nice is just, you know, ideal, because it's just a real nice sort of detail that you wouldn't expect normally. So I am adding a piece of tea dye paper to the back of this one. I've left a bit of overhang. I do actually eventually trim that down. I wanted a little bit of overhang to show that it's clear, but I didn't like how much overhang there actually was once I just kind of stood back and had a look at this. So I'm just sewing right around the edge with a straight stitch, nothing fancy, because I didn't want to take away from the actual design and the colouring. So yeah, I really like how this actually turned out, and I think you could do, I mean, you could do any image, couldn't you? You could do something more intricate, you could do something more simple. Really, you could just have a bit of fun with it. I love that depth that you get there with where I've layered the pen, and you get the darker areas to really give those flowers dimension. So I'm going to do something similar here. I'm going to keep this as like a little booklet, like a little card if you like, and I'm going to add some tea dye paper into onto the right hand side, just to give a journaling spot, and then I'll do some decoration on the front with this one. I'm speeding you through the process of this one because you can see what I'm doing. There's no sort of technique going on here. I'm just adding a few bits. I've got my little scraps box and I pulled out this music paper. I had in mind that I wanted music paper, so I pulled that out because it was perfect for this, and I'm just adding a few little embellishments to that front piece there, just to give it something on that side, but the right hand side will stay clear so you can see through it. So when there's some journaling or something inside there, it will look you obviously see it through the wax paper. So I'm just layering up a few different elements here. Again, no technique, nothing fancy. I'm just grabbing what I have to hand, what I can see in front of me. And I love textures. I think I've said that millions of times before. I love textures, so I love layering. I like sort of embossed pages. I like the anaglypta wallpapers because they've got a lovely texture to them. So I like adding a little bit of lace. I think that just really brings a piece like this to life and gives it a little bit of movement on the front. And to adhere this, I'm just using my sewing machine again, and what I've done is I've done a straight stitch down to the top of that little card, that sort of brown floral cardstock piece, and then as I go over that to really catch the fabric, the lace there, I change to a zigzag stitch to go across that, and it really just ensures that that's really well adhered. It took me a bit of a minute because I didn't stick it down first, so I had to really get it positioned under the foot of the machine, but it went through lovely, so it turned out really nicely, and that has adhered it. And I will go in and make sure that the music paper and what have you is stuck down really well, but obviously that stitching is going to keep everything in place anyway. I put my sewing machine away and then realised that I wanted to sew in the sort of journaling spot inside, so I'm just adding a straight stitch around the whole outer edge of this piece, and I'm sorry that it's just off the camera there, but that's what I'm doing with it. So I pulled out this brush pen that I've got, and I don't really use them, so I thought I didn't mind it getting a bit of gesso on it, and I thought I'd just add a few little swipes of gesso. But when I swatched it, it turns out that it's got a little bit of pink or red on the nib, which actually made a real nice sort of pinky colour, so I used it anyway, and I've just added a few sort of lines and splashes of that paint, again just to add another element to the piece, and it adds that little splash of colour as well. out comes that Ranger Multi-Matte Medium again, and I'm using that on the back of this. I'm actually going to use that nib as a sort of way to apply the medium. You don't need a lot of this at all, it's really good stuff. That nib, I've had this little bottle forever, again, and I've had a pin in it and the pin's gone rusty, so it's actually blocked up the actual pipe. So I just need to get myself a new bottle of this, or the equivalent, something else I'd quite happily try. Tacky glue would have done the job here as well. There's a few different adhesives you could use. Regular Pritt stick doesn't really work. I'm not a massive fan of tape runners either. I don't know if there's a good quality tape runner out there, maybe that's good. I've used, I can't remember which one I've used, Crafter's Companion, I think. You get it in Hobbycraft in the UK. And I used it in my traveller's notebook, and when we went to Cornwall, and all the pictures I stuck down with it have come up. I've had to re-glue them down with my glue stick, so yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. I like the idea of a tape runner, especially if you're like journaling and things on the go, because it's just handy, it's not sticky, it's, you know, it adheres straight away, you can close the page and be done with it. So yeah, if there is a really good tape runner out there, please let me know. So I've added this little piece of music paper here just to add a bit of detail. I thought music paper, well, it's piano paper, I keep calling it music paper, it's not, it's piano paper. I thought it was rather fitting with the actual music paper here, and again it was just lying around on my desk, so on it went. So that wraps up this video, guys. I'm really happy with this technique. I shall definitely be making more, and I'll show you in just a second all the pieces that I've managed to make today. I even managed to slip in a Christmas one with some red wax. It's a Christmas scented candle, and you can see the holly in the background that I stamped in each corner. I have begun working on my Christmas journal for 2020 because I had something in mind, and I've had it in the drawer. I've had the idea in mind to do it for ages. I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to execute it, but safe to say the idea came to me and I've done it, and I'm so happy with it. I've filmed it, so that will be edited and I will share that in an upcoming video. Is it too soon to share a Christmas video? No. I'm gonna do it. So yeah, I really hope you enjoy this. I hope you enjoy trying this technique out yourselves, and I'll be back to speak to you all again very, very soon. Bye for now.